What's up, otakus? It's your tour guide here. Excuse me. So picked up some more books. Couldn't stay away from half price books. And they had some good stuff there, so we picked it up. And I did another trade with my man Dave. Dave and I there were some books that I wanted that I didn't pick up in our last trade, which was exactly a week ago. And then he had some books that he still wanted. So we just decided to bring the stack of books that he wanted and a stack of books I wanted. And it was pretty much like we kind of knew things were going to go down. So I'll go over the trade. We picked up some really nice books. One is such a big book. It's our book of the haul. But we'll start with, so I've got the trade and I've got the books I purchased. So we'll go with the purchase pile first, and there's a book of the haul in the purchase pile. And then we'll go into the trade, and then there's a book of the haul for the trade. So technically two books of the haul. I'm really happy with this, the trade. I'm really happy with the trade, and I'm really happy with what I picked up. We picked up nothing crazy, but definitely a big book that we've been meaning to add, and I think I kind of overpaid for it, but it wasn't crazy like in terms of what we paid, so it was reasonable. So let's get into it. All right. Let's start here with Marvel Comics Presents Volume 3, Number 1. I just picked this up because it was sitting in the quarter bin. It had a sticker here, which we removed. And so there's a little bit of, sticker residue there. But, it's a $5 book, cover price of $5. I think there's a key character in this one as well. It's a key book. And it's just great, this great Art Adams cover. So I figure someone at some point would want this book as just trade fodder. I thought Dave might want it, but he didn't, because I think he didn't like the sticker residue. And the residue is really it's very minute. You can see it in the angle, and when you put it in the angle light, there's no dirt or anything on it. In fact, if I show it through you're not going to be able to see it. It's like right here. I guess you can see a little bit of it, but it's really not that noticeable. But again, for 25 cents, that's a nice pickup. It's just a cover buy. This one also we picked up for 25 cents. And this one, luckily the sticker's on the bag. So this is like a near mint book. We picked up Wonder Woman, The Rebirth, Number 1. And this is a variant cover by Frank Cho. And this was just, again, for 25 cents. It was just a cover buy. Cho does an amazing thick Wonder Woman there, like a beefy Wonder Woman. Not a fan of the beefy Wonder Woman, but it is Wonder Woman. And again, beautiful cover. So for 25 cents. I had almost picked up this book for half a cover, like $2. What was it? It would have been, like $2 or something, maybe $1.50. We had almost pulled the trigger on that, but this is even better. We got it for a quarter, and I do like this cover. I do like, Frank Cho stuff. Not like the biggest fan, but I've got a couple of Frank Cho covers now, so don't mind picking up his stuff, especially if it's a quarter. This was the sort of the big value one out of the quarter bin. Fallen Empires on the World of Magic the Gathering. This is technically the third Magic the Gathering comic book published. It's Armada that put this out. This is still polybagged with this like card on the back. It's like a mana game card thing. This is $12, so I was surprised. It's a $12 book we pulled out of the quarter bin. I got the sticker off the poly bag, so it's really clean. Yeah, high grade book. Not it's a direct edition, but I figure there's a lot of Magic the Gathering like fans and people who love this, the game. So it is a nice kind of like cover there. I figure someone $12, I figure someone would pick it up in the poly bag and the card on the thing, but at least pay like up to $5 for it. So just didn't want to leave it there. 25 cents for a $12 book that's not damaged or anything like that. High grade, still in the poly bag. I felt like it was worth picking up. So yeah, got this one. Let me know if you want it. I don't think it's that rare of a book, but then again, this Armada, they weren't printing like gajillions of copies of this. This was really sort of more promotional for the game release. So I don't know what the print count would be. It's not technically like a real comic book company, right? Although it is a real like story, and like it's a sizable comic. It's just one of those nostalgic buys. Again, if you're a Magic the Gathering fan who's been playing from the beginning, this is the first, technically this Fallen Empires is the first expansion set. So, it's one of the early ones. This one came out in 1993, I believe. Yeah, 93 or 94, something like that. Cool book. Again, $12 that we picked up out of the 25-cent bin. These next ones are just ones I didn't have in the collection, and they were decent grade. One is Action Comics Zero. That is one we just never had in the collection, and this was a really kind of clean copy, so picked that up for half a cover, 75 cents. Pretty cool addition to the collection there. And then we picked up Superman 78. This is a key book. This is the first appearance of Cyborg Superman. And we picked up a newsstand edition. This one has a couple spine ticks, but overall it's got like a finger kind of bend that doesn't break color. So it would press out really nice. This one would need a nice press anyway. But yeah, the newsstand edition, it's a pretty dope cover. It's still got the poster inside, 75 cents. I'd get that. Yeah. So, not a lot of value there. We was picking up 75-cent, 25-cent books. This is the big book in the purchase haul. It's our book of the haul. And I really kind of was debating whether we wanted to pay $7 for this book. And then ultimately, I came to the conclusion that, yeah, I needed this cover. It's a low grade book. I'd put it kind of in the 3.0 range. It presents really nicely though. And what we picked up is a Neil Adams cover of Superboy 151. And as you can see, it's got an issue here, ragged, but the book is, the cover's still attached. Interiors are clean. Back cover, not a lot of issues, no major wrinkle, creasing or anything. No major creasing on this book overall. It's just got some, like rounded corners. It's got a little bit of like a crease there, not a full crease, just kind of like, like minor like bends and color breaks in the book. But yeah, again, it was $7. So I figured, like, if it was $5, I wouldn't have any issues picking this up in this grade. But as a $7 book, it is kind of higher than it's technically like priced in this grade. But I figured, I'm not going to run into this book all that often. And it does present really nicely, and it's just a great cover, like Superboy. It's kind of like the Sheldon Moldoff, like holding a dead body cover, but at a different angle on the steps of, like a police station here, DOA in cold blood. I just killed Lana Lang. That's just the kind of stuff I love. Um, in terms of this kind of artwork, beautiful Neil Adams cover. I don't think you could get better than that. Look at Lana. She's just looking so perky. And yeah, so kind of overpaid for that one, but don't mind. It's going to instantly go into like my Neil Adams collection. All right, let's focus on the trade now. The trade is where I like these books are just incredible. And I feel, again, Dave got what he wanted. I got what I wanted. All in all, like the books I traded him were books there's a couple books that, not that I was like wanting to get rid of them, but I was willing to give them up if I got value in return for them. And these are books, obviously, Dave probably didn't highly value. It's in his, again, like trade bin, things that he's not looking to keep in his collection. So again, I treasure this, and he obviously treasured the stuff I got. Me, not so much. But what I traded was I had 2 signed copies of Death Mate Black. One was in a silver signature, one was in a gold signature, both with COAs. But the gold signature was not a clean signature by Silvestri. So that was one I was like, I had 2 signature books in that key book. That was the one I was willing to trade away. And yeah, Dave wanted it. So I pretty much bought it for like $20, I think. I put the trade value at 25. So that's one of the books. Another book is a Kevin Maguire signed book. It's a Justice League of America. It's the Exorcism swipe. Basically like an homage cover of the Exorcism movie poster. So it's a key book, but it's also signed in black ink. So it really pops because it's a black and white cover with a red, trade dress title. And then Kevin Maguire signed it in this, like the lit portion. It looks great. And that was a book probably like, I don't mind keeping that in the collection, but I picked that one out of the like 50-cent bin in Linwood Half Price Books. So, and I have a bunch of Kevin Maguire signed books, other ones. That's probably a book I can probably pick up again out of the 50-cent bin just for the cover. But I attached like a $20 trade value to that, and he was willing to trade for it. So, again, 25 plus 20, we're up to 45 already. He also wanted a Art Germ Doctor Strange cover. It was like a female Doctor Strange. Put that in there for 5. So we're up to 50. And then we added 2 Todd McFarlane books. One was like Skating on Thin Ice, like a Spider-Man book, and then a Marvel Tales where it's X-Men and Spider-Man. We did 5 each on that, so that got him up to 60. And that was it. That was the trade. I feel like I'm forgetting another book. I think that's it. Yeah, the 2 McFarlane books, the Art Germ book, plus the 2 signed books. So $60 in trade value. I got about 63, but I feel like he elevated some of his stuff, which is fine, because we both wanted to. I said were both asking, "What do you want for this book?" And we didn't try to like haggle or bring the values down. We wanted to be respective of if I'm going to part with this book, this is the value I want to get for it. And if there was anything crazy in there, obviously I would have taken it out. But I felt like everything was within reason. This one is a book I have. I think I had 3 copies of this. I sold one, and this is again my 3rd copy of it. And it's a book I love. We picked up X-Men Alpha, which is like the first appearance of Wolverine without his hand. It's the first appearance of all these like multiverse, or I should say alternate universe characters, including Dark Beast and Age of Apocalypse. You got Age of Apocalypse Bishop there, Colossus on the back. So you're asking me, you got 2 copies of this. Why'd you pick up a 3rd one? Well, we picked up the 3rd one because it's a newsstand copy. And again, Dave put this at $15. I didn't agree with that quote, but I did want a newsstand copy. And this book is going to be like a hot book come season 2. It's already trending, I think, on the top 20. It's just, the first appearance of Dark Beast. That's kind of its claim to fame. But if you really understand this book, it's a lot more. It's the first appearance of all these redesigned Age of Apocalypse. And if you saw the, Deadpool movie, they, it's basically out there on the internet right now. I'm sorry to spoil it, but they feature, one-handed, one-clawed Wolverine, who's badass, by the way. The Wolverine in this is badass, and I always said, they're gonna probably do more with that version of Wolverine, and it was nice to see him it was nice to see the Deadpool movie pay homage to that version of Wolverine. There's a lot of, Wolverine versions that kind of made cameos in that movie, and this one definitely made it. And so, again, for the newsstand edition, I'm a newsstand collector, so having like a book like this from the 90s in the newsstand was cool. So I picked that up. The rest, a lot of these he put at $2. This is another $2 book in terms of trade value. And we got, again, I just love these Ballin covers. We got 2080 Monthly featuring Judge Dredd from Eagle Comics #2. Not a key book or anything, but look at that cover, man. We got like Judge Dredd covered in huge ass spiders, tarantulas. Yes, please. $2 book. This one he put at $8. I don't. If it were like really clean, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but it has like he pulled a sticker off there. It's not actually pull, like the book is still, it's just like a stain. It's like sticker stain. And it's just on the surface of the book. So it's, I guess, cleanable. But otherwise it's like this hardbound like book. I've yet to get in a bag and board, but look how beautiful this cover. It's Vertigo. You got like Sandman, Preacher, a bunch of like Vertigo titles here. That's in this like Winter's Edge collection. So you got, Gaiman, Bolton, Morrison. You've got you know, a bunch of Garth Ennis interview, Steve Dillon interview. It's just a really cool book from, again, the era that I collected. So just a real, again, like it's a wraparound cover, really cool book. $8 trade value from that. I didn't mind. You know, I wanted the book. Now, this is a book I picked up for like $1 or so at Disney City Comics, and I love the cover. And Dave wanted $8 for this book, the same book, but it's such a clean copy. It's really clean, and I wanted a clean copy of this because it's such, again, just a beautiful cover. We got Black Canary there in her new costume, and man, is that just, again, my other one is, again, high grade, except it has like a really like color breaking crease across here, about like an inch. And that always kind of bugged me. So this is our new replacement copy of that. $8 in trade value, but again, I just love this book, so didn't mind. When I saw this and how clean it was, I was just like, yeah, I gotta have it. So added that to my pile. Now we got a bunch of Jim Lee books for $2, which, you know me, like, he didn't value Jim Lee. He was willing to give all the Jim Lee stuff away for $2, but I benefited from that. So we got World of Warcraft #5. So I picked up 5 Jim Lee books. One is technically like a book I already have. So we picked up 4, and we added that to our Jim Lee count. So we're at 372 Jim Lee books now. We added 4 more. So we added World of Warcraft #5. $2 trade value again that we got. Really cool cover on these World of Warcrafts. This is the kind of vibe, like if Jim Lee were to do like, had done a run on Conan or done something along the realms of like fantasy, like, you know, Game of Thrones or something, this is the kind of stuff you'd see. World of Warcraft 2, this is a sketch variant. Cool artwork there. Love that. This is a Jim Lee book that, again, not deep in terms of his involvement on the book. He inked, so this is a weird one. You know, Michael Higgins wrote this issue of Conan. It's not a key book, but he did the cover art for this. So Michael Higgins penciled this Conan design. I think this is like a redesigned Conan, with the helmet and all that, like these weapons and whatnot. And again, Jim Lee credited there on the cover. He did the inks on this one. So it's one of those, like, you know, Jim Lee inking covers. Not too well known as one of his works, but yeah, again, he only does, like, I think 4 books on the Conan run. This is one of them where it's just a co-inking, you know, co-cover inking, acknowledgement on this book. So I do like the cover of this. It's not the greatest, like, Conan cover, but I do like it. And then the fact that Lee contributed to that artwork, it makes it that much cooler. So excuse me. This next book is, I mentioned it, like, I thought I had a newsstand version of this. Turns out I didn't. So this is technically, I don't have any X-Men 1s, but 2 through 11, Jim Lee's run on this. Now I have all the other new, well, actually I don't have the newsstand in first Omega Red either. So the ones and number 4, I don't have the newsstands, but everything else, I have newsstand copies now. We just picked up X-Men 2, newsstand, $2, high grade newsstand. Was really glad about that. All right, this last Jim Lee book is a really cool one. And this is one I don't really look out for because it's rare that I run into them. So I don't go into like a shop looking for St. George, like the epic title of St. George. But this is 1989, kind of around when Jim Lee was like just starting to make a name for himself on the X-Men titles. And he did a couple of interior works on St. George. This is, I think this is actually the only one he did on St. George. It's the final issue. Beautiful interior artwork. It's sort of a risque cover art there as well. St. George, the final issue. Beautiful. Again, the interior of this is all Jim Lee. And it's one of those like Jim Lee. I think he does all the artwork in it, like interior plus. I'm just gonna verify right now, live for you. Was it number 8? I'm pretty sure Jim Lee does all the. Yeah, let's see here. He does all the artwork on this one as well. No, he's got an inker. Don Hudson is his inker. So just the pencils on this one. But yeah, it's just great artwork, Jim Lee artwork on the interior pages of this. The cover is Kent Williams. But yeah, not a book you run into every day. Final issue, pretty clean copy. So very happy with that. That's just sort of like one of the obscure Jim Lee books that are available that you don't run into every day. Again, epic from 1989, kind of right around that as Jim Lee's peaking period. So cool edition. All right, this last one is like my favorite pickup of, man, I just want to say it's definitely when I look back, when we do our big pickups from the summer, this book will definitely be on there. And I love it. I love the cover. I love what's in the interior of this book. Love the whole concept of this book. The fact that it's, like a independent publishing from Solson as well. So we got a Solson How to Draw Comics comic. And it's a number 1. What you'll notice here, it's a John Byrne artwork on the cover. It's also John Byrne and John Romita Sr. Interior paneling, and they're teaching you how to draw comics through comic panels. So it's kind of like, it's just one of those things, like they're showing through comic like artwork how to actually draw like comic panels and all that. It's truly like a comic book that only I think collectors and fans would appreciate, but it's a Byrne book from 1985. It's a Solson publication. Again, artwork by Byrne and Romita together in a book. That's what makes this key. This is a $40 book. Dave gave it to us for $20 trade value. It's in wonderful condition. It's a VF plus copy for sure. And I love it. I love it. How to Draw Comics comic. John Byrne cover, John Byrne and John Romita Sr. Interiors on this book. So there you go. That is our kind of trade haul, and that we saw previously our buy haul. Picked up some, just fantastic books from this trade and haul. really, really, really couldn't be happier. We didn't spend a lot. We gave away books to get books we wanted. So all in all, um, really, really happy with how things went down. So hey, what's up, guys? Kenneth? Will Chu, did Jim Lee ever draw any interior page art for Conan, or did he only do a few covers? He only did a few covers. He was already tagged as a cover artist, so they put him on the cover artist patrol. And they also had him on interior work for like the big titles. He did X-Men. Really, that was kind of his focal point. That was the big seller for him. We got on Uncanny, and then he got an X-Men. But prior to the X-Men assignment, he was doing interiors on Alpha Flight. He was doing interiors on Punisher War Journal, and just building that repertoire of like getting books out and all that. And then at the same time, he was just getting better as an artist. Like significantly so. Like his early stuff to when he finally like breaks out on Uncanny is just like, it's like night and day. And and I feel like he's steadily improved as an artist even to today. Like the amount of like detail and the concepts of the cover or characters that he does now compared to his Marvel days, it's just like tenfold like he's teasing like I think a DC all-in variant cover right now where he's got all these like DC characters, foreground, background, just like shades of George Perez, but it's like him. It's he's adding so much depth and detail into artworks now. Like these covers are great, but like it's leveled up. The stuff he's doing now, the modern stuff. So it's just great to see when your favorite artist isn't content, doesn't stand on his laurels, and doesn't his growth has continued to rise. And again, a lot of the stuff he's putting out now where he's investing time, and he knows like, okay, this is a new, again, all in. I think DC is like another phase of DC that is really going to run parallel to some of the cinematic stuff that's coming out. They're investing a lot of talent and like again IP. They're marketing the IP around this sort of campaign, and it's again when you got Jim Lee leading that campaign with some of the sick artwork he's putting out, it's it's at least gonna get people to buy it for the cover artwork. And it looks like a lot of the writers are bringing on are again DC kind of like mainstays who understand the universe and been building up to a lot of big names in that. So excited. Yeah, I think it's excited. There's a lot of cool, exciting things on both sides of the pond, Marvel and DC. But for me, like I'm definitely more of a DC fan. Like in terms of what I collect and what I add, I think for me, I've always valued DC more than I have Marvel. And it's great to see right now, like that Marvel, like like Silver Age keys and whatnot are like highly valued, and the DC stuff from the same era isn't, and that benefits me as like a collector of like DC. So I'm glad there's that sort of imbalance, because at some point it's probably going to go the opposite route, or they'll probably both be elevated. But for now, like a lot of this, like Silver Age stuff is relatively like still affordable. I mean, a lot of this Silver Age stuff is more affordable than a lot of the modern books that people are picking up. So from that perspective, still advantageous to collect DC. I don't know how long that's going to last, but I'm hoping that trend continues at least until we've picked up a lot more books. So yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. Not a lot to discuss. I feel like I discussed a lot of the Doom. I gave my thoughts on the Doom casting. It looks like we have a little bit more context and information on Marvel's thinking with the Robert Downey Jr. casting. I initially didn't think it was good, but I'm just like not committed right now to whether it's good or bad, because it looks like what they're teasing is a universe where Tony Stark is Victor Von Doom. That for me is a very big stretch, but I am interested to see how, first of all, the explanation of that, and then also where they where they take that story arc. And I've had some conversations with fellow collectors and seen some stuff online. But people are putting the theory that basically God Emperor Doom destroys the multiverse and it's one timeline. And then whatever the outcome of that timeline, again, Marvel superheroes versus Von Doom, it will reset the MCU. And the MCU, the new sort of Marvel, or whatever you want to call it, MCU, or the new timeline for Marvel, will be one that's comic accurate, meaning you'll have the X-Men, you'll have Fantastic Four, you'll have all the foundational Marvel characters there from the get-go in the same universe with all the origins that match how they were introduced in the comic books. And that's really kind of what it's really like what fans, and it's what Marvel wants, because they didn't want to have these like have to explain Deadpool in this corner of the world versus like the 616 versus Miles Morales versus the Peter Parkers. Like it's basically a reset, and you can have everybody existing in one universe. It's going to kill all the other multiverses, and you got one timeline. And obviously you can still play with like an alternate universe, but it's going to revolve around. And that makes big sense to me. That makes a lot of sense. You want X-Men, you want Spider-Man and Iron Man and the Avengers to all exist on the same plane and not have to explain things when characters pop up or why they're missing. You don't have to want to explain that to fans. Like, why isn't Fantastic Four part of the MCU? That's crazy. That's not there. It's crazy that the X-Men are not there, right? So if it's able to reset and we get a whole fresh foundation of Marvel as it should be, I think everybody is on board with that. So it's basically Robert Downey Jr. built the MCU, right, with Iron Man, and as poetically, it's Robert Downey Jr. who's going to destroy the MCU and allow for, and again, this is I think where Kevin Feige would take a step back, and you have a new generation of creators that really rebuild Marvel. And that makes sense to me. I'm on board with that. And so that's why I'm kind of uncommitted right now. If that's what we're presented at the end of the day, because Marvel's really kind of like, fans aren't big Marvel. The comic book fans are not fans of Marvel right now. And I know Deadpool, Wolverine is doing well at the box office, but it's not technically, it's not, it's not MCU esque. I know they just brought him into the MCU, but it's not, typically associated with the MCU. So it's kind of like a one off. Um, and who knows where Deadpool will be at the end of this, you know, but there's this whole thing where Deadpool kills the Fox universe. That hasn't happened yet. Well, I mean, parts of it, but we've yet to see Deadpool, how he's going to be fully integrated. We got hints of it in this movie, but we don't see the full integration. So it remains kind of like a wait and see how this plays out. And I think Marvel hasn't really fully figured it out as well. But this Doom casting does kind of point toward, again, the Secret Wars story. It's going to be a huge reset in one form or another. And at the end of it, we're going to see a rebalancing. You're going to see Marvel as how they should have launched all these, intellectual properties, how they should have launched it, like the comic books. Okay, right? Everybody existing on the same plane. And it's going to give them, I'm sure that it bugged Marvel for a long time. It's like, as successful as these movies were, we didn't really do a good job of branding Marvel characters in a cohesive manner. And, the fact that, characters like Kang and all these like people that they're introducing, the fact that they're just like Kang, you have to have Kang in Marvel Cinematic Universe, but they botched Kang up, and now you've got a situation where, oh, okay, well, maybe Kang was a one-off. No, you just messed it up. Doesn't mean you abandon the character. And that was my fear with the Robert Downey Jr. casting. Like, you cast, if Doom sucks, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to like stop producing and making Doom? That's kind of the theory with Fantastic Four. They just made a bunch of horrible Fantastic Four movies, so they never got a chance to really, keep going with Fantastic Four, which is a huge mistake. Again, like, where does it make sense that Black Widow has more of a presence in your universe than Reed Richards? That just doesn't make sense in anybody, like any comic fan's eyes. So yeah, that's that. I do have an update on my trip to Vancouver. So I was texting Alex Bustos, who we're going to visit in Vancouver, who's a friend of the channel. I mean, she's just a CBC community darling. She's just great. I just can't say enough positives about her. But yeah, we were texting, and I kind of came up with this great idea for a comic book cover. And in fact, I just had another like epiphany. So when we actually sit down and talk about the commission work, I'm going to get very detailed into what I want. But I'm not going to reveal it here at this point. I will maybe reveal it right before we head up to Vancouver, because before we pick up the book. But I definitely have a very specific view of what I want, and I shared it with her, and she seems to be on board. We just kind of have to land on pricing and everything like that. But I'm basically commissioning her for comic book cover work, and it's going to be like a wraparound cover. So it's going to be like, um, a wraparound book. And I gave her the concept for it. I think it's brilliant. I hope she shares my enthusiasm for the book. I'm not going to reveal what the characters are or what the design of the concept of the cover is going to be. But just know it's going to be, I think, epic. I love it. And if you guys follow me again, I'll just tell you that it's three of my favorite characters in comic books. So that should at least frame what kind of book she's going to be working on. It's features my favorite character in comic books. So all of you who watch me and follow me know who that character is, right? And it's other tertiary characters within that character's sphere. And I'm very excited. And Alex, if you're watching this, I'm just so excited that you are, open to doing this art, doing the art for this book that I'm going to treasure and bring into the collection. I'm very excited to see, how you go about this, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun for sure. And I know you're going to just knock it out of the park with these three characters. So looking forward to getting that book from you. And right now, obviously, we're still trying to save up, get toward like target budget, which we should be there in 2 weeks. And we have 3 weeks of like pay periods that will add. So we should be at our target goal within 2 weeks, and then we'll have a little wiggle room, after 3 weeks. So right now I'm really resisting the urge to pick any additional stuff up. Obviously, I want to get the commission artwork. So the next pay period, we're going to focus on just getting that money for the commission work and not tempt ourselves by going anywhere and picking up books next week. We're really going to try to I think half price books, and for next week's haul, we're just going to stick to half price books and Milgeek Comics 50-cent books as our, like $5 at most, like $5-10 at most on what we spend next week, and devote again the majority of that to saving and our commission work. And then saving the next 2 weeks. Similarly, if we do spend, it's going to be like local shops with like a $10 max spending, maybe 20 max. But that'll definitely, by week 3, will be well over the savings threshold. We also have to exchange the money to Canadian dollars so that we go up with that big budget of Canadian dollars that we're just going to leave in Canada and spend it all there. So we're going to pick up big books. And it's going to be truly an unyang. We'll have a wish list, but it's going to be dependent on whether those books are there and whether they're there in the grade and the price that we want them. Because, even though we want, like, for example, Superman 50, if it's not there in low grade, is there in like mid grade or high grade? No way we're coming back with that book. But if it's there in low grade and it's there for the price we want, then boom, it's like boom, like kind of all in kind of situation where, we're coming home with that book or something along those lines, right? So it's going to be fun. It's definitely something. I'll do a couple maybe live streams when we hit the floor. But when we come back from Canada, yeah, you definitely don't want to miss out on that haul video, because I think that's going to be like the haul of the summer. And we're going to come back with, I'm leaving myself open, like once we pick up some big books and we have room to dig for value and all that, I'm willing to bring back like a short box of comics. Um, like that's kind of like the bandwidth I'm leaving myself, either like a collection of big books or a collection of big books and a collection like of smaller books, value books in a short box. So that's quite a bandwidth of stuff we can bring back, and very excited for that. So all in all, I'm just really, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to stay focused on staying within weekly budget, shifting what we earn, the paychecks to the Vancouver comic show budget, and really going up there with the amount of cash we want to spend there, and having fun. So I'm hoping you guys are enjoying what I've been picking up this summer. I pick up books throughout the year, but in terms of like volume and core, books, as well as like big keys, like this summer has just been phenomenal. And um, I don't want to say it's better than last year, because last year I picked up a lot of like banger books as well. But this year we're only in the midpoint of the summer, and I feel like we're kind of at where we were last summer, like on par in terms of pickups, but we're not done yet. So I feel like at the end of the summer, I'll be able to look back and say, yeah, this was just a phenomenal summer of picking up key books, and really picking up books that I feel like, we've been kind of neglecting the core, Jim Lee books. And of course, a lot of focus has been on Ballin, which we initiated last year, but it's been kind of full on Ballin. And of course, we've also focused on Neil Adams, John Byrne, not so much Romita Sr. And I think there's going to be, come end of summer, we're probably going to do some recalibration of my top 10 artists that I collect. In fact, you're going to see some shifting. You're going to see one name drop off and another name kind of come up. So it should be interesting. But I'm not going to reveal that calculus yet, but we'll see. We'll see at the end of the year how that shifts. But yeah, it's been just a lot of fun. And again, like, boom, look at the Hall book right here. How incredible is that? I just love that. Love that book right there. So yeah, thanks for watching. And, we'll probably be back on Friday with just a small haul. I do need to pick up more supplies. I'm hoping to do that right before we head up to Vancouver. I don't mind spending some of the comic budget to pick up supplies, because when I come back from Canada, I'm going to have a lot of like big books. I want to make sure that we're able to put them in, top loaders, and really preserve them in high quality, secure protection. So we'll do that. We'll put in an order for some bags and boards and top loaders before we take off, and it's going to be fun. So we're into August. These next couple of weeks are, I think, going to be sparse in terms of the pickups, but it's going to build momentum into that huge haul that we come back with from Vancouver. And it's a big comic book show. A lot of vendors. It's a comic focused, so it's going to be like pretty much the cream of the crop of sellers in Canada, and probably even from like Washington State. I can see a lot of Washingtonians going up there to sell and come back. But yeah, it should be a good time, and hope you guys stay tuned for that. And so thanks, Kenneth, Will, and all the people who follow me, and watch this on the rewind. Thank you guys. This is all stuff that I love to share with you guys. I'm just kind of taking you on for the ride. And if you enjoy it. Obviously, it is very personal to me. Not everybody collects like I do or likes the stuff I pick up. But, that's another thing, Josh. So Aaron from Josh's Comic Books, shout out to Aaron. He is doing kind of a special celebration of 90s books on his channel. He's asking, community members to send pictures or videos of their favorite 90s books. And we're going to just celebrate that era. A lot of it here as well, this is just a exemplary book from that era, right? Books like that. So many great 90s books. I'm just surprised. Like, obviously, you can, it's not about value in showing off your books. It's just about how cool collecting in the 90s was. These like chromium covers. It's like, it's really a lot of worthless stuff in today's market because you just got just a flood of printings and a lot of people collecting books in this period. But how great was this book when it came out? Like, everybody remembers this, right? Like, damn, Cyborg Superman, get out of here. That is so badass. And to this day, it's badass. If you don't think the Death of Superman, Doomsday, that whole story arc is not cool, then man, you guys, you just really don't understand the kind of fire the 90s brought. It really set the stage for how people write and produce today's books, in terms of like bringing the digital paper, the improvement in paper quality, the improvement in the coloring of the book, improving the overall quality of a comic book. It went from like pulp, like newspaper type interiors to really clean, finished paper quality, like high quality paper, finished coated paper, right? Where the color is just super accurate. It's consistent. There are less production flaws with these kinds of books. Really well produced and easier to maintain in terms of their quality. So, I mean, 90s, there was no period more innovative than the 90s. And I can just tell you that for a fact. 90s were just a period of innovation in terms of in terms of technology, okay? Internet, computing, you name it. What's the other big one I'm missing? Digital art technique, just so many things that was improving in the 90s that comic books also benefit from, right? But you just had so many like kick-ass creators like Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, Mark Silvestri, Frank Miller, John, I mean, you name it. That era of comic books is just so jam-packed with both old school, new school artists, writers, creators. You had, titles from Image, Vertigo, Dark Horse, like so many publishers were just, doing, and manga was getting strong in the 90s as well. Just so much innovation going on. And I just love that Josh is He's basically, he started collecting in the 90s. I was collecting obviously before the 90s. I was like, kind of right in the maybe early to mid 80s through the 90s. So, but yeah, people who were collecting in the 90s get the value that they were getting from these books. Obviously we weren't like, we thought we were getting like, like $100 books down the road or whatever. Like these are things are gonna like skyrocket in value and all that. That was misguided, because you're a comic book collector. You're misguided about a lot of things, I'm sure. But one thing that we weren't misguided was the value we got from reading these stories and just connecting with these characters. And again, that era of comic book stories and characters and what we were being introduced to was a very diverse, eclectic set of choices. For the first time, you had a plethora of titles, characters, and choices to read from very kind of lighthearted, genres to very deep, dark, kind of violent and sex-driven like titles. So just the whole sort of gamut of things you could enjoy, which today is tenfold. It's tenfold of that. You can literally, is like, there's a gajillion things. Boom, like so many comic book titles and things to choose from. It really is like whatever you collect, whatever you read is representative of who you are. Didn't have as much selection back in the 90s, but that 90s is where it started. It started there. Like we have all these choices, and it's just bloomed and blossomed morphed into a different, really collecting. It's really a different collecting world now in the modern books. But again, I appreciate the back issues, and like my focus is always on 90s books and things from my era. But I also do appreciate the Bronze Age, Silver Age, and obviously Golden Age and the pulp era. Those are big books that I can't pick up. So I know there's a lot of collectors that want to pick up that high value stuff, and they're willing to pay top dollar for all the first appearance keys and all that. And that's not me. I'm more about collecting my era and getting the books I want, as well as collecting people like Jim Lee, collecting people like, Neil Adams, collecting people like John Romita Sr., collecting people like, who else? Well, I like Kirby stuff now. I like Inventino stuff. We're not focused on them as much, but I'm open to adding books from the Silver Age by those artists as well. So, yeah, I mean, I just really feel like I know who I am as a collector, and it's definitely like a 90s centric, modern age to 90s centric focus on what I like. And then there are sort of like tertiary things that I pick up that are more, I think, aligned with like the overall hobby. I do value what other collectors value in terms of those big first appearances and all that. It's just I'm not made of money, so that's pretty much it. Like if I could pick up everything and have all the Action Comics one and all that, I'd love to do that, but that's not what my collection is about. My collection was really about me. It's like I have limited budget, and I'm going to pick up the stuff I prioritize and do, and that's hopefully where what you see out of my channel. Like you see authenticity as a collector, and you think you see the value in what I collect. Whether you agree with what I pick up or not, that is irrelevant. But I hope you do see the value in the stuff I pick up, and that you see, like, when I pick up a book, like this for a quarter, most people would probably agree, yeah, that's a great pickup, and that's kind of what I want to highlight. Like, the hunt is about picking up value. The hunt is about picking up stuff you like, and that's what my focus has always been. I also, the thing about comic book hunting is like that line in Forrest Gump. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. It's that young factor. It's that, like, I'm going out there. What are we bringing back? It's whatever destiny fates us to bring back, and that's what I love about that variable of, like, I'm going out there with some money. Let's see what we come back with, and oftentimes what we come back with is just so incredible and so aligned with what we like anyway. So that when you have that kind of, like, self realization and self satisfaction on these hauls, it's a testament to the hobby, like why this is really an outstanding and amazing hobby. I will, I'm sure at some point I'm gonna close a chapter on my comic book collecting, like a lot of people do. I'm sure you reach a point where it's like, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to collect books anymore. Maybe you want to sell them or what. I don't think I'll ever reach a stage where I want to sell my core collection, but I'm definitely already thinking of, like, the exit strategy, or, where I plan to draw the line. And like I shared earlier, that line for me is probably next summer. 2025 is probably where I'm going to, like, either hit my 500th Jim Lee book, or we're just going to hit, like, a wall in terms of space. And that's when I'm be like, okay, now I just need to separate keep versus either give away, sell, or trade, or whatever. I'm just, that separation is already happening already. But it's going to be, it's going to come to a crossing point next summer, I think, where we really have to be like, okay, we're done. And this is what I keep. This is what we just either sell or give away or whatever. So up until that point, I'm just going to continue to have fun with it. But we are definitely going to, I think, bring this hobby to an end. Not say it's an end, but we're going to, yeah, it is an end, because we really have to, like, curb spending. We're just not going to spend on books. And at that point, we're not picking up books. So it's really sort of like, yeah, we're done with collecting. And, half price books won't be a destination anymore at that point. I'll have to really focus on not going there. I'll have to focus on staying away from comic book shops. And I think I'm kind of slowly preparing myself for that eventual, like, yes, that decision, like, yeah, we're done with comic books. And I'm mentally preparing for that, to be honest. And it's something I'm on board with. It's not like I'm like, oh man, I just wish I could continue collecting and like doing. No, I think after, we came back to this hobby, like a lot of people, in 2021, and 2025 will mark like 4 years plus, the 10 plus years I collected in my childhood. So it'll be one of those like kind of full circle moments where, like, yes, we're just gonna step back and enjoy what we have, but kind of stow it away, and maybe enjoy it from time to time. Look at books, read the books or whatever, enjoy books from time to time. But it's going to be kind of like, lock it away. It's an investment, obviously. Let it mature. Maybe we'll be still doing videos or something along the lines, but it'll be a big step back, and a necessary one, because we can't just continue to buy books, and I don't want to like have to get a storage unit or do any of that kind of stuff. I really want to keep it pared down. And so a lot of the stuff we picked up this summer has been super focused, obviously these books are not super focused. These books are like, again, trade fodder and stuff, the overflow books. But like stuff like this, yeah, this is what I love, and picking them up for 75 cents each is like, high grade copies. These are never going to amount to anything, but you know what? When I look back on these books, they're going to hold so much sentimental value. They hold sentimental value now. They're going to continue to hold the sentimental value for me, because it will remind me of that youthful exuberance I had when I was collecting, like really enjoying these books, over trying to get a girlfriend or trying to like do stuff in the real world. It's still kind of in my dream imaginary world before I did, mature and become an adult. This was the escape, right? So hope that rings true for a lot of you guys, and I know it does. I know the core people that are part of my inner circle and comic book community, that it's why we collect. It's that high we get from nostalgia, and it's that it's that rush. It's that rush when we look at this artwork. It's like, whoo, yeah, give me more, right? It's that rush. So again, summer's it's not over. We're kind of like right in the middle of the summer pickup. So we're building up to the Vancouver now, and that's kind of where we're focused now. Like everything's from this point on is like save, and get ready for that trip. And man, is it going to be an amazing time. So really looking forward to it. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.